There's no major climbs, so the possibility of attacking and getting away is really hard. But if you can use a power up to good effect, you can try and get away. As we go back to take a little look at the Queen of the Mountains, April Tacey. There she is, onto the pavé again for April. You'll notice she's got her headphones in because her team director will be talking in her ear. The teammates will also talk to each other. They use the gaming channel Discord, little app on their phone that they're able to talk across the world. So April Tacey in the Queen of the Mountains jersey, a very proud moment for her as the leader of the Drops team after that win last weekend. Coming up next, an interview. Give you a little bit more of an insight into the racing today.
Winning the first stage of the Women's Virtual Tour de France has been amazing, especially as this year it is my first year racing at UCI level with Team Drops. At 19 years old, this is the biggest win of my career so far, and it has given me a lot of confidence going into the road season this year. It's been great that women's cycling get equal TV time and equal stages as the men, and this will hopefully improve women's cycling. The fans have been really positive, and it's been quite overwhelming reading all your lovely kind messages. I'd just like to say thank you. Coming into the races this weekend, I will be racing stage 3 and 4, and I'm most looking forward to stage 3 as it's a flat stage and hopefully it will finish in a sprint.
April Tacey, a little bit of an insight from her. She's had a very, very busy week. Last weekend, really nobody across the world knew who she was. This weekend, everyone knows her as the winner of the first ever stage of the Virtual Tour de France. Here's our group. Two Team 2020 riders are pretty close together in there, wearing numbers 42 and 44. Yasmin Düring and Georgia Simmerling. Getting close then to our intermediate sprint. We're about 5 kilometers away. Last night I rode the virtual this stage with Yasmin Düring, so I got an insight as to how she was riding it. Look at that lovely side of the virtual France here in Zwift, and no better sight than the virtual Mont Saint-Michel. So last night Yasmin let me join her for a little ride around the course, which was great to be able to do. It gave me an insight as to how she was going to ride it, the sort of power output. She tried a few power-ups. Here's Chloe Dygert. Chloe Dygert, world champion of the time trial, 7 times world champion on the track, putting out 240 watts right now, but just rolling along at 68 revs a minute, riding a very big gear here with her heart rate at 152 beats per minute. She's got the style at home. She lives in Idaho. She lives near her team manager Nicola Cranmer, and her coach Kristen Armstrong, the Olympic champion of the time trial, lives round the corner. So there is never any possibility of Chloe Dygert deciding to not do the training plan that she's been given, because Kristen literally lives round the corner from her, about 100 meters away. There's where we are on the map, bottom right hand corner. Coming up then towards the intermediate sprint, and just a reminder that the first of the intermediate sprints, or the first one we saw, was taken by Alice Barnes, the British champion from Canyon SRAM. Icon above the rider in the green jersey is the lightweight icon. It means she's ignited a power up to help her stay in the group. That means that if she's suffering, what she looks to be right now, a little bit of suffer going on, the featherweight will reduce her weight for 15 seconds by 9.5 kilos. It means the legs can just recover a little bit. It means she can almost take a little bit of a breath She'll stay in the slipstream as long as she keeps pedaling, and she won't get dropped by using that power up. This course is demanding, physically demanding and mentally demanding in terms of simulated bike racing. You may remember last weekend, if you were watching, we had a few climbs, but we also had a few descents, which meant the riders were able to use the super tuck feature in the game, which means they can literally stop pedaling while they go downhill. But here, there is not really any of that, so they've got to keep the pressure on all of the time. It means that in terms of your muscles, your legs, they're going to feel very, very tired. And certainly when I rode this as a recon last night with Yasmin During of Team 2020, it was very noticeable about the fatigue that was starting to tell in your legs as the race actually continued, because you are having to keep the pressure on all of the time. There is no real let up at all. Lily Williams at the front, so is Tanya Ereth. Katrin Hammers is in here. Also in here is Eva Berman. She's riding up towards the front. Just looking at other names who are in this group of riders. Pfeiffer Georgie. Pfeiffer Georgie rides for Team Sunweb. He's only really ever ridden 53 kilometres on Zwift. But Pfeiffer Georgie is a very talented young rider. She was a key performer in the Junior Nations Cup before she was signed at a very young age by Team Sunweb. She finished her school studies before she then moved into Team Sunweb. Here is Yasmin During. She's a bronze medalist in the Olympic Games on 2 occasions, 4 times a silver medalist in the World Championships. Yasmin looks like she is really digging deep here at 90 revs a minute, 255 watts, staying up towards the front. A lot of riders talk about just how mentally in this simulated racing you have to really pay attention to where and how your avatar moves within the game, how you stay near the front, how much pressure you need to keep on. And they tend to keep an eye on the right hand side of the screen here, and they keep an eye on the watts per kilo to see whether a rider is starting to attack. If they start to see an increase in the watts per kilo of riders around about them, then they have to react. And that's what they watch a lot of the time while they are riding and racing on this platform. Well, it wouldn't be the Tour de France without the sunflowers, would it? As we make our way through the sunflower field. Such famous photographs from amazing photographers like Graham Watson on the Tour de France have been taken by wandering into the sunflower fields and shooting across to the riders as they passed. Well, so much inspiration in this Zwift game today has been taken from various areas across France, the sunflower fields. As we go back here with Pernille Mathisen of Team Sunweb. One huge fan being used there to try and keep her cool despite even being outside. On now towards the sprint point. First sprint was taken by Alice Barnes. We'll take a look and see who's going to take it this time, who's up towards the front. As someone managed to get a power up to be used. Alice Barnes goes to the front yet again. Barnes putting out 8.3 watts per kilo. Loretta Hansen, though, looks like she's going to go past. There's a little bit of a challenge on the line between Riffel and Hansen, with also up there Kristen Faulkner looking for some points. Remember, it's a team competition, so the riders across the line, the points are accumulated, and the team is given the green jersey. Green jersey being held at the moment by Team Tibco. They don't seem to be on the game as far as getting as many points are concerned this week, but Kristen Faulkner is up there. Here is Loretta Hansen riding for the Trek Segafredo team. This is starting to look really tough. 202 watts 187 beats a minute as she went for that sprint. 45 kilometers an hour now these riders are simulating on this trainer, and as you can see from the pictures, this is not easy at all. These riders are having to push their bodies to the limit at 187 beats a minute. Let's take a look at the replay. Loretta Hansen was definitely up there. We'll get the results in a moment. Not far to go now to the finish line. 12 kilometers of racing. A few more power-ups being used. Another lightweight power-up. That's the green icon above the rider we're looking down on. Again, reducing the weight. So, sprint 2, it was Loretta Hansen who took it. She gets the 10 points for a Trek Segafredo team. And Riffle takes some more points for the Canyon SRAM team. Which means, by my reckoning, the green jersey is now on the shoulders of Canyon SRAM, ahead of the Drops team in second place. Now, riders who've been sitting in the draft, you can see 3 green and blue jerseys of Team 2020. They're an American squad. They're very well known on Zwift. They hold rides every Thursday for as many riders to join them as possible as we make our way onto the simulated Pont de Gare. Spanning 48 meters in height, heading towards the second Queen of the Mountains now, taken last time by April Tacey. And it looks like this time a featherweight power-up has been used by Katrin Hammes. Her teammate Erica McNaldy last week was really strong in the climbs. So I think it was Katrin Hammes who was first across the top. Teammate of Drops, Queen of the Mountains, Smeikal was also near the front as well. So Finja Smeikal, who took third place in the first Queen of the Mountains, has scored some points there for her team. Here is Katrin Hammes, riding for the Ceratizit WNT Pro Cycling team. They're a German squad. Drops today should, I think, be holding on to their leader's jersey, but we'll see. Remember, it's a team competition, so it's all about how many team points you accumulate in that overall situation. Confirmation then that Hammes took 10, Smeikal took 9 and Faulkner took 8 in that points climb that time. Third category climb. So maximum points then for the team of Ceratizit WNT. We're getting set then as we head towards the finish. There will be one more intermediate sprint, the Ballon sprint. Kristen Faulkner, the yellow jersey of Team Tibco, now starting to look very, very keen to be near the front. Canyon SRAM with Krista Riffle putting out 209 watts, riding 87 revs per minute. Getting a little bit of assistance there. The fan blowing on her, continuing to drink all the time. You've got to keep your fluid levels up on this type of racing because you literally sweat constantly. Thanks very much to all of you who've joined us across the world for this virtual Tour de France. If you'd like to join us on Twitter this afternoon, @Ant McCrossan is where you can join me. There's the mountains classification then. Drops now lead. They were in the jersey earlier on. Ceratizit now in second at 22 points, so Drops will keep the Queen of the Mountains. Canyon SRAM in third place in that overall competition. Nearly at the next sprint, just over 2 kilometers until we meet the third intermediate sprint. Jade Weil, the French champion, goes to the front on 3.5 watts per kilo. We're back here with Lily Williams. You can See her heart rate now at 175 beats per minute. So now that body is under real stress. Now riding at a cadence of almost 90 beats a minute. The pace constantly today in this women's race around about 44 to 45 kilometers an hour. They've been racing for nearly 55 minutes. You can see now the inspiration in this area is the vineyards of France, particularly the Burgundy region of France. I have to say, you have to admire the way the Zwift game developers have created these virtual worlds for these riders to race in. Twists and turns, it feels like the vineyards of France that we go through in the Tour. We think back to like Epernay last year with Julien Alaphilippe winning that stage as we race through the Champagne regions. Lily Williams now at the front of the peloton. So in this group then, let's take a look at who could win. April Tacey, who won stage 1 last week. Also in here is Charagillo Marche, who rides for the FDJ team, the Australian rider. Also in here, Chloe Dygert, the world champion of the time trial. As we head towards the next of our intermediate sprints, which is 1 kilometre away. Here is Kristen Faulkner in the yellow jersey. Nearly at the intermediate sprint. We're a few hundred metres away. There it is in the distance. They're going to get ready for this intermediate sprint now. This is the Ballon sprint. Loretta Hansen took the last one. Hannah Barnes took the first one that we saw. This is for the green jersey. 10 points for the winner across the line. Then it goes 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1. And remember, it's about your team, so you need to score as many points as possible. Canyon Schramm represented at the front with Alice Barnes. Smakel of Drops is also there. CCC Liv are challenging. As they make their way across the line, it was Marcus and Lach, I think. Both of the CCC Liv team who were heading across the line first. Well, we'll get confirmation in a moment of which rider took those intermediate sprints. We'll get the results, but it certainly looked like it was Raijane Marcus of CCC Liv, who was the first rider across the line with Marta Lacker, teammate. There is Raijane Marcus. And the team got various training camps going on at the moment. She looks very composed despite the effort she's putting out. 408 watts, Raijane Marcus. There's her avatar sitting towards the back of the group after that big effort. We're getting set then for the completion of stage 3 of the virtual Tour de France. 40 kilometers an hour. Yasmin Düring is in here, Chloe Dygert is in here. In fact, 2020 have 4 riders in this front group. All of their team are in this group. Chloe Dygert, Yasmin Düring, Shayna Paulus and Georgia Simmerling have all made the front group. That's very good news for them, for the overall classification. So the yellow jersey, 2020 are in 3rd place in the yellow jersey competition. Here's Tanya Erith. As I said earlier, 258 kilometers already this week on Zwift, getting ready for this race. She looks very composed. This is a stage that she could win for Canyon Schramm. It's a group of around 20 riders, 25 riders. Dygert heads up towards the front of the peloton. Alice Barnes is a very, very good sprinter for Canyon Schramm. Chloe Dygert is in here at the front. Here is Tanya Erith. She's now starting to make her way towards the front. Lily Williams at 3.6 watts per kilo. Shara Gillow also in here. April Tacey, could she do the unthinkable and win 2 stages in this race? So there's confirmation on the right-hand side of the screen. Classment of the green jersey. So Canyon SRAM now have the green at the moment. There are still points on the finish line for the green jersey. Team Tibco now in 2nd place and Team Drops in 3rd. The yellow jersey proudly on the avatar of Kristen Faulkner. It's a very big moment for this team to be in the yellow jersey. They're guided by Rachel Hederman, a British team director. And here is Kristen Faulkner, her last drink before the final effort. 170 beats a minute now, her heart rate. She's concentrating hard to just stay up there near the front. She's been one of the revelations of this racing so far. There she is, moving her way up now. You've got to be in the first few places and you've got to unleash your sprint at the right time. All these riders will also be thinking about those power-ups. So remember, I was talking about those. There are 5 power-ups. The aero one makes you more aero for 15 seconds. The draft means that you increase the draft effect in the peloton for 30 seconds. The breakaway burrito makes you undraftable for 10. So that means if you have that one and you unleash it in the last kilometre, you've got 10 seconds where no one can draft you at all, can sit on your wheel. So that's a really good power-up to have. Lightweight is really good for the climbs, but will help you in the finish sprint. It reduces your weight by 9.5 kilos for 15 seconds. Most combative rider, Shayna Paulus of Team 2020. Don't forget, during the racing, you can always vote for your most combative rider. So Shayna Paulus of Team 2020 gets the most combative rider of the day. Three and a half kilometres to go. Nina Kessler, has she been dropped? I think she may well have been dropped by the peloton. She's found it just a little bit too difficult today. Well, I know that Nina Kessler was one of the riders that Tibco were thinking of for today's victory. So that's not good news for the overall for Team Tibco in the yellow jersey. There's the shot of all the riders across the world working hard, picking out some of the riders. Shara Gillow down towards the bottom of the screen, Ruth Winder also. Lotte Kopecky, the world champion of the Madison. Lily Williams also up towards the top. We've seen her a few times today. But in the group, Alice Barnes on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, the British champion in her British Champions colours, is in here with a chance of winning today's stage. So is the young British rider, April Tacey. Yasmin During is in here. Chloe Dygert is in here. 2.5 kilometres to go. Now the pace really starts to go up. The watts per kilo start to notch up. We're now at watts per kilo of over 4. You have to be up at around 4.5 watts per kilo to be able to stay in the group. Kristen Faulkner is always there in the yellow jersey. She must be looking at her avatar and getting a little bit of morale in that yellow jersey this afternoon. 41 kilometres an hour. Now we go through these little rock and roll sections of the course. A couple of little kicking rises of around 1 to 2%, but they hurt the legs when you're going this flat out. And as you can see, they slow down to around about 38 kilometres an hour. Faulkner on the front of the peloton now. I don't know if that's where she wants to be. A few featherweight power-ups being used. As you can see, the icons above the riders, reducing their weight by 9.5 kilos. Might be a little bit too early to use it, but if you're suffering over that little kicker, the little bit where your legs are really hurting, igniting that power up will give you just that little bit of a spurt that you need to stay in the peloton. A reminder, top of the screen, hashtag is TDF United if you'd like to support any of our 5 cycling-related charities. Now we're starting to work our way down towards the finish. 1,400 metres to go. Simmerling is near the front. Team 2020 are getting themselves ready. They can lead each other out in this. They can decide that one rider will let all the other riders draft behind them and bring it up to top speed. The white jersey now at the front. Krista Riffel of Canyon SRAM. She's getting ready to try and maybe lead out Alice Barnes. The yellow jersey of Kristen Faulkner is also up there for Team Tibco. A few other power-ups being used. Only 1,100 metres of racing to go. 1 hour and 5 minutes of racing completed underneath the red kite with 1,000 metres to go. One rider ignites the draft power-up. Getting in towards the finish. It's going to be a very, very fast last kilometre of racing. Who's going to take it as we peel back and look at the peloton making their way in towards the finish line in this 3rd stage of the virtual Tour de France. April Tacey is near the front, putting out 5.5 watts per kilo into the last few hundred metres now at nearly 60 kilometres an hour. Pernille Mathiesen of Team Sunweb is up there at the front. Who is going to take it as they head in towards the last area, turning right? Chloe Dygert is up there. A few more power-ups being used. 2020 look to be in very good position. The yellow jersey comes to the front now, uses an aero power-up. Kristen Faulkner, and she is going to, everyone's igniting power-ups now. Faulkner is there, Tacey is there, Alice Barnes is also there, hitting the line. It looked to me like it may well have been Tanya Ereth of the Canyon SRAM team who is first across the line, followed by Chloe Dygert and April Tacey. She made her move very, very late, Tanya Ereth. But the rider who won the Zwift Academy, to me, looks like she's the first rider across the line. There she is, wearing number 11. Tanya Ereth will wait for confirmation, but being shown on the screen, she's the rider who's done all the prep. Tanya Ereth of Canyon SRAM. Look at her on the left-hand side, just trying to recover from that huge, huge effort. Well, on my screen, it's Tanya Ereth, Chloe Dygert, April Tacey. But we'll just wait for confirmation. There she is on the left-hand side. Tanya Ereth rode a spectacular race then to, I think, take the stage victory here on stage 3 of the virtual Tour de France. She surfed her way in the wheels. She did the preparation, and that's a very, very well-deserved win. Tanya Ereth of Canyon SRAM. Well, they talk about the Zwift IQ, the knowledge of how to ride this sort of racing, and she did all the prep. There she is, winner of stage 3 of the virtual Tour de France, Tanya Ereth of Canyon SRAM. Behind her was Chloe Dygert, the world champion of the time trial. Another spectacular result for Team Drops, with April Tacey taking 3rd place. Well, April Tacey in 2 weekends has gone from an unknown bike rider to 2 top 3 places in stages of the virtual Tour de France. Confirmation then of today's results. Here we are. Tanya Ereth, the winner, in 1 hour 6 minutes. In 2nd place, Chloe Dygert of Team 2020 from the United States of America. Then it was April Tacey in 3rd place again for Team Drops. The yellow jersey, Kristen Faulkner, there in 5th. And another Canyon SRAM rider, Alice Barnes, in 6th place. But Team 2020 have certainly had a good day. They had a lot of riders in that front group. Remember, points for the first 25 riders to cross the line. Here's the replay. Tanya Ereth using an aero power-up just as she made her way into the last few hundred metres. It made her more aerodynamic for 15 seconds, and it meant that she was able to win that race. Her average watts per kilo for the entire race, 4 watts per kilo. And our average heart rate, 154 beats a minute. Fantastic racing. Well, it just shows this course is relatively flat. It's rolling, it hurts the legs, but it suits a sprinter. Coming up in a few moments then, we will hear from Tanja Ereth, the winner of stage 3 of the virtual Tour de France.
Ich kann es auch noch ein Stückchen mehr stellen.
Tanja Ereth, winner of stage 3 of the virtual Tour de France. Many congratulations. Summarise your emotions for me on taking a stage victory on a platform that you know maybe better than any other bike rider.
Well, I'm super happy to win after the last stage. Yeah, I wasn't really disappointed because I really wanted to get that green jersey and that went well. But yeah, stage win is always something special. So I thought, yes, this is kind of my thing. So I should win a stage. And that it worked out now makes me super happy.
I noticed just before the race that you really have been doing the work on Zwift over the last few weeks. I mean, this week you already rode nearly 250 kilometers. They talk about the Zwift IQ, the knowledge of the game. How much has it helped you this week?
Well, I think it's like in a normal bike race as well. Like it's a lot about positioning and timing. And yeah, I raced a lot on Zwift, especially in the last few months. And I could really see my knowledge increasing and improving. So yeah, I think it's a big, like I say, really good to have the knowledge, to do well in the race.
And finally then, we're going to finish on the Champs-Élysées, the virtual Champs-Élysées, the first time it's ever been raced. It suits a sprinter. Having got the morale from today, you fancy the Champs-Élysées next week?